First things first, happy Friday. Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wilde. On today's show, Kittle and Kelsey get paid, the bubble burst for the Suns, and a drone delay in Boston. But we start with the play-in for the play-in. Start off with Grizzlies guaranteed a spot in the play-in tourney with a win over the Bucks. They got it. Did the Bucks try? Up for debate. Grizz went 2-6 in the bubble. Ja and Valanciunas had triple doubles. Later in the night, just Blazers. Dame hit 8 threes. Boom. Including this one from Cinderella's Castle. Portland survives a feisty Nets team. That's going to be in the playoffs anyway. Nick, how impressive was Dame's performance last night?
Dame continued his absolutely remarkable run. And I'm going to evoke a name here that I think once we have the full lens of history, this season will be remembered in part 4. And that name is Kobe Bryant. Let me remind the audience that in the Lakers' first game after the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant, they were playing Dame and these Blazers. And Dame led his team to victory with 48 points in a game that Carmelo, remember, didn't play as he was grieving the death of Kobe. And Dame talked after the game about his relationship with Kobe. And the reason I bring that up is what Dame has done over these last 3 games, Broussard, reminded me acutely of the last great moments we saw from Kobe on the basketball court aside from his final game. Kobe's last great season was 2013. And late in the 2013 season, as the Lakers were fighting for their playoff lives, they suffered a bad loss, believe it or not, to the Clippers when Kobe played very poorly. And Kobe responded to that with a 3-game stretch up until he snapped his Achilles, where he played nearly every minute, where he averaged nearly 40 points per game, and where the Lakers won 3 consecutive elimination games to keep their season alive. Fast forward to 7 years later, what we saw this week, the Portland Trail Blazers lose a terrible game to the Clippers where Dame falters at the end, and he responds with a 3-game stretch of elimination basketball of averaging an impossible 51-9 over these 3 games. He scored 154 points, Broussard. If he had scored 145, they'd have gone 0-3. He scores 154 and they go 3-0 and squeak out every one of those wins in the final moments. And so you hesitate to evoke his name, but it was Mamba-esque what we saw from Damian Lillard over these 3 games just to keep the Blazers season alive, Chris.
No, interesting story in comparison, Nick. And, you know, you don't really think of Kobe when you think of Dame. Maybe you do mentally, because obviously both have what Kobe called the Mamba mentality. Dame is a killer. He is clutch. But they do it so differently. You know, Dame does it with the 3-pointer. Obviously, they're right there from the logo. And can we stop calling that a 35-footer? How is that 35 feet? That's got to be like 40 feet.
Thank you.
You know, the half
exactly
court is
right.
What?
47
feet or whatever?
47,
yeah.
Exactly right. Thank you, Broussard.
That's
correct. That is a correct take.
We went over this in the
Go ahead. Go ahead,
that's
Broussard.
43 feet probably. All right, but anyway.
Yep, agreed.
It was a masterpiece. Nick is right. It was his 3rd straight masterpiece. And when I say masterpiece, let me qualify. I mean on the offensive end. Because neither Dame nor the Blazers give a hoot about defense. But that's part of what made Dame's performance also so great, is that he did get 2 steals in the 4th quarter. With 1:12 left, he steals the ball from Karis LeVert, which was a big play with the Blazers up 2. And LeVert was about as hot as Lillard was. And then C.J. McCollum finishes off Dame's steal with what turned out to be the game-winning jump shot. But Dame was fantastic. 12 points, 4 assists in the 4th quarter. And there was that stretch early in the 4th when it looked like the pressure was getting to a young Gary Trent Jr. And C.J. McCollum all of a sudden couldn't hit a 3. He didn't hit a 3 all night. And Dame carried them with 3 straight 3-pointers within a 3-minute stretch, including that 43-footer from the logo, and that kind of seemed to settle down Trent and McCollum. And then late, both of those guys made some big shots. So you can't say enough about what Lillard did. It was phenomenal. Like you said, Nick, 51-9. What else can you say?
All right, so we got Grizzly Blazers, game 1 tomorrow at 2:30. Grizz need to win 2 in a row. Nick, what do you see happening in this series?
Well, the reason that all along I said I think the Grizzlies are going to be the team that makes the postseason is because I don't think that the 9 seed in this scenario is going to be able to win back-to-back elimination games against a team that's probably of equal talent. Now, the Grizzlies, of course, fell to the 9. The Blazers are healthier. The Blazers are better. You have to install the Blazers as massive favorites to advance. With that said, oddly enough, this play-in game Saturday, Broussard, is the least pressure the Blazers have had on them in a week. This is the first game they can lose and be fine since that Clippers game. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies, as by the way, America, I hope you cashed in, as guaranteed on this show yesterday, the Grizzlies annihilated a Bucks team that we knew was not going to try. We knew Coach Bud was going to give his guy, Taylor Jenkins, who'd been with him for a decade, a nice little olive branch into the postseason. So I wouldn't be shocked, Broussard, if the Grizzlies win on Saturday. But I will admit, Wilds has been high on the Blazers. I have not. I would be very surprised if the Blazers don't end up winning one of the two to advance over the weekend.
Nick, I was going to let this slide until you started bragging about your call yesterday on Milwaukee and Memphis. This is the first of what will be many times over the next few weeks when you admit I'm right. Wilds was not the only one saying Portland was going to be in the playoff. I have said it as well. You don't have to say it right now, but, you know, now you're picking Portland.
Let him get in first. Let him get in first. That's not over yet. Let him get in.
I'll let you go a little bit. All right. But anyway, I'm with you in that anytime you don't play defense, which Portland doesn't, you give the other team a shot. And Memphis has played them tough already. You know, it was 1-1 in the regular season. They played early in the bubble, and Memphis was up 8 with less than 5 minutes to play. Now, they did have Jaren Jackson, who had 33 points in that game. We know he's out with injury right now. But it took the Blazers overtime to beat that Memphis team. And Nick, Portland knew even then they needed that victory. That was a huge game because they needed a win and they needed Memphis to have a loss. So I think Portland definitely is the team that ends up as the 8th seed and gets in the playoffs. But I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis pushed it to a second game.
And Wilds, I know we're going to talk about it throughout the show and later about the potential Blazers-Lakers matchup and how big of a threat the Blazers are to go on a big run. I think it was Barkley last night who said he's got them going all the way to the NBA Finals now. The reality, there are two things to talk about with the Blazers. One is Damian Lillard being the human embodiment of an on-fire NBA Jam icon. The other one is that they once again are not even attempting on the defensive end. And the fact that the Nets, this Nets team with nothing to play for, had the ball down 1 with deciding we're just going to take the last shot. I think if it's a must-win game for the Nets, maybe they call timeout, maybe they go a little faster, but they're playing with house money. I mean, they are, Karis LeVert, if that shot is an inch and a half to the right, we're talking about the Blazers squandering another brilliant Damian Lillard performance. And I don't think the cavalry's coming for the Blazers defensively. Now, they still should be able to get 1 of 2 against the Grizzlies. But Dame is an amazing player, and this has been an amazing story. I don't think that anyone should consider the Blazers an amazing team, at least not when you incorporate the other end of the court. They have been an amazing offensive story, but as Broussard mentioned, they've been the worst defensive team in the bubble. And even in these must-win games, you're talking about teams putting up 121, 131, 133. They haven't been able to tighten up the defense even when they needed to, Wilds.
Well, they're not locked in yet. Once playoff game hits, lock in. Suns perfect in the bubble, still headed home. Here's Monty Williams after the game. Take a listen.
Suns of old, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot. And it's hard to play the way you play every single night and not get the respect that you deserve. Guess what? You got it. Okay? So I don't care what happens. God knows I hope we get a chance to keep shocking the world, because that's what you did. Nobody believed we'd come here and go 8-0 and beat the teams we beat. But just know, man, this is special. Okay? I want you guys to know that. I don't care what happens, right? This is special. Don't let anybody take this away from you. You gain the respect of the league, okay? Now we got to build on it. We may get to build on it this weekend, or it may happen in the summer. We don't control it, okay? We got to get to the point where we control it. Understand that? You guys understand that? You want to be the kind of team that can